What is up, everybody? Welcome to week 7 of Squeeze the Juice, or episode 7. I know I say weeks, but it kind of is weeks, but our weeks are kind of off with the actual schedule. So it is
That's
episode
all right.
7. Well, actually, it might be episode 8.
Maybe. We don't know.
I don't know. Well, we know now because that would be beforehand, so I'll have to
true.
figure that out. Anyway, episode 7 or 8. It might be 7.
Let's keep it 7.
Keep it 7.
Keep
the
it
other
7.
one's just special.
Yep.
So welcome to episode 7 of Squeeze the Juice. New week, new games, college, NFL, lots of changes, but lots of stays, at least in the playoff race right now in college.
Right. Yep.
Not a lot of change-ups, but some upsets.
Some upsets for sure, and we're going to get into it, but the biggest week of college football this week, this will determine, I think, a lot in the standings. So let's run it down really quick.
And welcome
Yes,
to
sir.
the college football regular season finale.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. New visuals here. We previewed them in our last Thanksgiving special episode, but you're
Yes,
getting
sir.
a little
Yes,
taste
sir.
of them now.
A little extra juice.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh.
So if you're listening, we apologize. You won't be able to see them, but check us out on YouTube. You'll be able to see the new cool setup we got going on now, where you'll be able to see the games, which ones we're picking, so you're able to follow along easier, but also have some fun visual effects too. So
Upgrades on the daily.
upgrades on the daily. And with that, we'll get into our last week roundup.
Go ahead,
So
my friend.
I was 8-1 on the week last week, an absolute bomb week.
Trust
Peter.
this man.
Peter last week, 4-0 in college, 4-1 in NFL. My college record now sits at 16-12. My NFL record up to 17-12-2. Overall record 34-24-2. That's plus 10.
Wow.
It's on fire over
Love
here.
that for my brethren.
Absolute heater. You, on the other hand, solid week. 2-2 in college, 3-2 in NFL. Your college record now sits at 13-16. Still keeping it steady. Let's get that up this week, though. And then in the NFL, you're 17-11-2. Outstanding there. Overall, 30-27-2. Just really good numbers.
Still positive.
Really good numbers. Positive for you, positive for me. We'll kick it off with our college games from last week. TCU at Baylor. The crazy game.
Wow.
TCU run onto the field with 10 seconds to go, kicking a game-winning field goal as time expires. They win 29-28. I was on Baylor plus 2.5. I told you that spread was stinky, and it came through for me. You were on TCU plus or minus 2.5. Unfortunate for you there.
Yeah, that late field goal. That was clutch, though. That was clutch to just run out there
Yep,
and
it
rip
was.
that fast.
Not to say it kept their playoff hopes alive, because I think they could still make the playoffs even if they lost that game and then won the Big 12. But keeping the undefeated season alive is big. You got to keep winning games at this time of the year. So impressive nonetheless that they were able to pull out a win there. So lucky, though. I mean, come on.
I mean,
They just
you're like you said.
They,
the Vikings and TCU are the same.
they're the
team,
same
my
team.
friend.
They are the same
team.
Well, then we head down to Arkansas, where Ole Miss came into town, and I told you, give me the Woo Pig Suey, and Woo Pig Suey came in with a 15-point dub. I had Arkansas, you had Ole Miss.
Those hogs went wild.
They were up by a lot, too. It was like 42-6.
wild.
That Ole Miss, a little bit of a comeback there, but
That's what you get for being a rider sometimes. It's a heartbreak, but it was a double heartbreak over the weekend. We
Really
didn't pick the
was.
other game, but it was a heartbreak.
really was. Tennessee. That
Tennessee
was
got Millie rocked.
Spencer Rattler. Woo! Then USC at UCLA. What a game that was. Battle of LA. USC clutch game-winning interception there. We were both on the Trojans. Fight on, minus 2.5. They won by 3. We'll take that all day. Then the last game of the college football slate, Utah at Oregon. A banged-up Bo Nix got it done for Oregon. They win 2017. Look, we told you Oregon plus 2.5 was a lot of points. It's a lot of value. Spread up being minus 1.5, I think minus 2 at game time.
Yeah.
So, you know, while the pendulum was swinging one way, and while that's when we made our pick, it swung back the other way, and you probably still won if you picked Oregon minus 2.5, if that's the number you got, or, you know, I don't know what it ended up jumping out to, but we were on plus 2.5, and that was an absolutely tremendous number. So we both, I think, fared well in college. Obviously, me being perfect fared a little bit better but but
No,
you
that was
2-2,
great.
nice bounce back after some
I know,
tough
it's
L's
been-
earlier in the day.
It's been some rough ones.
On to the NFL. Lions beating the Giants in MetLife, 31-18. We were both on the Lions +3
You
there.
convinced me, and
I convinced you.
One.
That was a nice win for both of us, but also a better win for our Detroit Lions, who we'll find out because we're taping before the game plays on Thursday. We'll find out what their record is then.
Mm-hmm.
Jets at Patriots. Patriots with the game-winning touchdown punt return from Marcus Jones. They win 10-3. We're both on Pats -3.5. We needed that. It was an ugly win, but hey, you'll take them as they come.
Hey.
We'll take that Pats -3 all day. Raiders at Broncos. Two teams struggling, but I told you, give me the crying Derek Carrs. They win in overtime on a beautiful touchdown pass to Devontae Adams, 22-16. I was on the Raiders +2.5. You were on the Broncos -2.5. You just can't trust Russ Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett right now.
How can I trust Derek Carr either? Can't trust nobody in the
I trust a man that's crying. I trust a man that's crying.
I can't trust anybody that's in the NFC or the AFC West.
You can't. But
it is garbage. And
two AFC
the Broncos
West
were up the whole game, and they freaking blew it, man.
Hey,
whatever.
That's what
that
happens.
was the garbage game. It was a garbage game.
Our Sunday night game, Chiefs at Chargers. Chiefs won by 3, and we were on Chargers +4.5. I feel like that was an easy pick, mindless almost, because the Chargers could have won that game, but Patrick Mahomes and his magic to Kelsey, it's just getting annoying at this point.
That's all. I don't know. That's all they got.
That's all they got, and it's really, really annoying. So, Chargers +4.5. We hit it, but I was really rooting for the Bolts to come through and actually win that game.
Me too.
But at least we won. We won our bet. Can't complain either way. Felt pretty secure the entire game. And then the last game, the Monday night game in Mexico City.
Shocked.
Blowout. I'm not surprised the Niners won, but a blowout, 38-10. You just don't see that often in the NFL. It looked like a like Penn State at Rutgers this past weekend. It was like 55-10.
That was nuts, man.
That was what it looked like. So Cardinals +8.5. We're both on the Cards, and they did not pull through. I thought Colt McCoy could do it once more. Keep it close.
Mexico City's a different vibe for those Niners fans, apparently.
Hey,
even though they're farther from the border.
I'll shout Jimmy G, though. I was down by 22 points in one of my fantasy leagues, and I needed Jimmy G to come through for me, and he had a tremendous performance throwing it. 4 touchdowns, give me 25 fantasy points, and I got the dub thanks to Jimmy G. So shout out Jimmy G. I'm not mad that we lost that bet because I was already playing with house money at that point. I was 8-0 going to Monday night. I was like, whatever happens, happens. Fortunately, didn't get the perfect week, but 8-1. I'm not going to complain. It's going to be tough to replicate that.
Yeah,
but
that is.
That is the rundown there, and I'm loving where we're at now. So now we got some great games, college, NFL. Let's get into it, my friend.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But let me just say something that I don't know why the Niners still aren't fans of Jimmy G.
I would give him an extension, really.
Also,
at this point,
they're right now. If the Seahawks kind of just aren't feeling themselves, they're legit contenders. If they're on,
I've been telling you, Niners. Look at that offense and that defense too. But that offense, when they added Christian McCaffrey, it's not. I didn't think the move really made them that much better.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what it does is it makes them more versatile. They're able to beat you in a lot of different ways now. They don't have to use Deebo Samuel as like a 1-2 punch now.
He's healthy. He can be healthier.
He can be a weapon more on the outside instead of in the ground game. But then when you use him in the ground game, I think he can be more effective now. George Kittle, I think, is really benefiting off of this play action, intermediate passing game because the defenses have to be so worried about, okay, where's McCaffrey? Okay, where's Deebo? Now Ayuk is coming out. So now there's just so much that the Niners have. And with Jimmy G, he's the perfect quarterback to do it because he's not gonna beat you with mistakes. Now there are times, like we saw in the playoff game last year against the Rams, where he did make some mistakes, and that's on Shanahan and Jimmy G to correct them and to calm those down. But when they are perfectly tuned in and they are they have a nice harmony, they are torching defenses, and they're going to continue to torch defenses because that's a scary offense, and I don't know if anyone has the weapons that the Niners have right now. It's unreal what they are putting up just on paper, and now you're seeing it on the field.
100%. All right, onward to game 1 of the college slate. Spartans. This one was for fun. Because, it's a closing week. There's not kind of crazy games. There's like 1 or 2 really good games. So we threw in the Spartans because we haven't had them a ton this season.
No need to, but...
Spartans, game 1, Michigan State heads to Happy Valley. It is plus 18.5 Spartans, minus 18.5 Penn State. And it went up earlier by a half point.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing good about this game, my friend.
Oh, man. So I know the loss last week to Indiana was horrific. I was looking at the game, and I was just, my hands were up in the air. My mouth was wide open. I was like, are you kidding me? This is how we're going to lose. I hated that game as much as the next Spartan did. And it sucks. It sucks when your football team is that bad. It's honestly embarrassing what they did last week. But if I have any faith in Mel Tucker, and that loss was 100% on Mel Tucker, if I have any faith in him, he's going to have his guys ready to perform in this one. Now, the good news for Michigan State is that Parker Washington, Penn State's number 1 wide receiver, unlikely to go. So that alleviates some of the
Does that have a point right
worries.
there?
It alleviates some of the worries that the Spartans' pass defense has had this season. But when I look at this game, I think 18.5 points is a lot. I know Michigan State sucks. We suck. We're not a good football team, and we showed that last week. And over the past, win streak that we've had, these wins haven't been like, oh, wow, Michigan State looks really good. I mean, they've been squeaking out these wins. So, look, I think Penn State probably wins this one. I don't have any faith in the Spartans right now, but I have faith. If I have any faith in Mel Tucker, I think he can keep this one close. Penn State kind of struggles against Michigan State, too. Michigan State has a nice win streak against Penn State. I don't know the exact number, but it feels like whenever I watch Michigan State play Penn State, we win. So I'm going to ride with Michigan State. I trust Mel Tucker. I know it was ugly last week, but Spartans plus 18.5, screw it. It's the last game of the year probably, unless we somehow make a bowl game, and it's too many points for me. So I'll take my dogs, probably get heartbroken here, but whatever. Spartans plus 18.5. Let's ride, baby.
Love the ride. Love the ride. I mean, the way Penn State's kind of been playing, the run game has been nuts with those freshman running backs. Great duo in the backfield. I mean, just their overall run game is great. Spartans, tough. They come up clutch and then fall short, except for against that Wisconsin game and kind of the Illinois game. But how much are those of value? Maybe Illinois a little bit, but not a ton because they just kept falling after that game. Penn State, I mean, you're talking about the end of the first quarter, the way the sun goes down. It's arguably a night game, even though the game starts at 4 o'clock. This all points to Penn State. It's in Happy Valley.
I mean,
I'm taking Penn State minus 18.5.
Please, I mean, you're probably on the right side of it. I'm just, this is me
riding.
This is me admitting to my audience here. I'm helplessly the guy outside the convenience store saying, "Do you have any spare change?" Because that's me with Michigan State right now. That's literally me with Michigan State. I'm outside the convenience store asking for spare change because they're so bad, and that's just how they make me feel. They make me feel like a cold, wet person on the side of the road who you feel really bad for. That's Michigan State right now. That's me and Michigan State. It's tough. It's a horrible season. I'm taking them because I have nothing left to give. This is it. This is my final hurrah. Cover this 18.5 point spread, you buffoons. Please do something. I mean, there's a field goal at the 4-yard line. They're at the 4-yard line. Kick the field goal and win. How do you miss that? I could have made that. I would have drove up to East Lansing and kicked that field goal for Mel Tucker and the Spartans. I would have won us the game. I would have. I know I would have. I would have hit that. You missed it so bad. How do you miss that? How do you miss it? I don't know. Now you got me jazzed up. Spartans plus 18.5. That's my pick. I need a revenge. I need a revenge from last week. I need something. Please. This has been a terrible season. Loss after loss. And, we're going to win some games. Hey, maybe we have a shot at winning Michigan. Maybe we have a shot at winning the Michigan game. Nope. And they had a shot because they were playing really well in the first half. But guess what? You failed on 4th down twice, and you suck. And guess what? Now you get this game and a chance to maybe, you could have won last week. You're looking at they would have been
bowl game
6 and 6. Now guess what? You win this game, you're 7-6 or 7-5, whatever. Now you could be 8-5 if they win the bowl game. That's a really redeeming year after what we all thought was going to be a terrible year at the beginning of the year. So now this game is basically just like, I'm so sick of you. Please get out of my face. But I don't care.
Just end the season.
Just end the season, please. I'm done with the season. I'm done. I'm personally done. But look, just because I'm done doesn't mean I'm not going to bet on my guys. I have to trust them one last time. If they're going to do it, it's this week. So please, for the love of God, just cover the spread, make it competitive, look decent. And maybe, who knows, maybe you'll win this game, and maybe we're all joking about Indiana later on. But whatever, I'm done. Go on to the next game, please, because I'm so sick of this team.
Well, once again, I said it on Thanksgiving, and I'll say it again here. I don't think Evan's going to join me, but go Nittany Lions.
No, please.
Nittany Lions, baby. All right, onward for Save the Heartbreak, head to game 2. We head West Coast, baby. The Irish roll to L.A. Game 2, Notre Dame at USC. Both were higher ranked, both big games. Is Irish plus 5.5, USC minus 5.5.
Yep.
That's a bit weird of a line to me.
This is a tough number. 5.5 is a scary, scary number. Look, Notre Dame terrifies me in this spot because they've been playing really good football as of late. I mean, they obviously beat Clemson, but they've also just, since that Cal loss, they've just been playing really good football. And look, I know we were on USC last week. You know, obviously, I'm a big Caleb Williams fan. I'm a big fight on guy, but I mean, that was a very emotional win last week. And so you're looking at this game. Maybe it's a letdown spot for USC, right? Because you had the huge win, statement win against your in-state rival, against your in-city rival, really. And look, this ND team, Marcus Freeman, he's got the boys humming right now. It's tough to see this game being a blowout. So I do think it's going to be close. But here's the thing. Notre Dame's defense is very good. They have the number 27 scoring defense, and they ranked 17th in total defense. Very good defense. And we already talked about USC last week defensively. It got even worse after last week's game against UCLA. They were able to create some turnovers, though, which helped them in the win. But look, it's not about the defense for USC. It's about Caleb Williams. This guy is special. He's the Heisman frontrunner easily. I don't see anyone else on his level.
Really?
Easily. I don't see anyone else on his level in terms of talent in college football right now. He is special. He's going to be the number 1 pick in the draft, or at least should be next year.
Whoa.
He's going to have to be special again to win this one because that's a tough Notre Dame team. But the way Notre Dame plays, I think it suited the game against Clemson. Slow, methodical possession. Notre Dame is very good at that. USC is, we're going to beat you in a track meet. And if Notre Dame gets caught in a track meet, they have no shot to win this game. So I don't see like a 20-point blowout, but what I do see is USC covering the spread. I like USC in this game. I think they are able to push the pace, make Notre Dame have to play their style football. And I'm going to ride with Caleb Williams because I have so much faith in him right now, and Lincoln Riley is an unreal head coach. So give me USC. Fight on, baby. I'm going to keep running out the Trojans.
Wow. What an analysis. I'll tell you this, my friend. In the past 5 games, Notre Dame's put up at least 35 points a game. USC on the season is averaging almost 42. So right now these ball clubs are flying the ball down the field. Arguably, USC has had a bit more, some challenging games. I mean, Notre Dame did beat Clemson. That was a huge win. I know Boston College not all that, but Notre Dame won 44-0 last week. Which was just funny.
Notre Dame's playing very well.
Defensively, they're really stepping up. They were supposed to be a defensive team because of Freeman taking over as head coach, and they've started to show that. They've had unfortunate losses. I mean, you're talking 2 unfortunate losses gone, right?
Right.
And their only loss is the first game of the season barely to Ohio State, and then that'd be a different ball game right now,
Right. And I mean, look, if you want to view this as like a barometer, like the Ohio State game versus Notre Dame, if you want to use that as like your barometer, Ohio State still won by 11. So, and I think USC has a much better offense than Ohio State. So if USC is able to, perform similarly to OSU, I mean, 11-point win, that's covering the spread. So that's kind of where I'm leaning. I'm thinking this is like a 10-point win for USC. I think they just kind of outpace Notre Dame. Notre Dame probably will be able to score points on that defense because USC's defense is dreadful. But I mean, I just don't see anyone competing with USC offensively right now. They're on a different level. It's kind of like what you saw with Tennessee early in the year, except I think you have a legitimate offensive genius in Lincoln Riley and a legitimate stud, special number one player in the draft talent in Caleb Williams. That's not Hendon Hooker. So that's why I like USC. I'm just putting my faith in Caleb.
That's a fair thing because I think this game the numbers could be a lot lower and in favor of Notre Dame if it was at Notre Dame.
Right, and this being at USC is big.
Yeah, 100%. That's a big factor. I mean, Caleb Williams has been firing like we said last week. If he's firing on all cylinders, we knew it was going to probably be a shootout, but he was firing and he got it done.
Unreal. And UCLA's defense it's not great, but it's solid. Like it wasn't. It's not like USC bad is what I'm trying to say. Like it's not great, but it's not as bad as USC's defense. And Caleb was just making plays after plays. He's so special. I'm in love with this guy. He's unreal. He can play for my team any day. He's that good.
Yeah. So we will see if the Notre Dame defense can slow him down, because then that's a different ball game. Who do you trust more? The Notre Dame offense, the USC defense, back and forth. Both are I don't think one's directly better than the other. It'd probably be just kind of like a battle out, and you'd think the home team would probably take that. Normally defenses ride on the home crowd and everything like that. But
oh god,
I'm taking Notre Dame plus 5.5. I think even if it doesn't go in a shootout, I think Notre Dame may still be able to hang. USC probably will win this game, especially with it being home, everything riding on.
I do. I'd love to see them in the playoff.
I mean, what do you do then if Notre Dame wins?
I don't know. I don't want to have that conversation. You know me. I hate Notre Dame. So and this is not even like a biased pick for me. Like I actually was considering taking Notre Dame in this game because I do think 5.5 is a weird number, and not so much that I think this number is fair, but just the number itself, 5.5, is a really tough number to play. It's hard to say one way or the other which way you want to go. And I kind of woke up this morning thinking to myself, look, I have Caleb Williams on my side here. I'm not going to bet against that. I'm just not. If this was Georgia, that's a different story. But I mean, against Notre Dame, look, Notre Dame's put together a nice season after some embarrassing losses to Marshall and Cal. But I'm not going to, it's just not the year for Marcus Freeman yet. I think he's building something positive, but I trust Caleb Williams. But I respect the pick, though, because 5.5 is a weird number, and Notre Dame if they can play Notre Dame style football, if they can slow this game down, if they can keep that offense on the sideline for USC, they got a good shot at not only covering the spread but winning this game. But if it gets to attract me, I don't think Notre Dame's going to keep up with that offense.
Agree. Their offense does have a burnout point.
Exactly. It's very similar. That's why I think they really succeed against Clemson, because those are two very similar styles of football. Time possession, taking care of the football, don't turn it over, playing good defense. The Notre Dame and Clemson are essentially the same team. So that's why Notre Dame was able to, you got into their style of football, you're able to play that kind of game. Notre Dame, one way they can be successful is if they force USC to run the football, if they take away what, Caleb Williams has, but it sometimes is really, really difficult to take away special, ability from a player. And especially when you have Jordan Addison on the outside too.
Yeah,
elite wide receiver, one of the best in the country. So
absolutely,
it's going to be really difficult for Notre Dame, I think, to keep up with what USC has to offer. But I do think it's a good pick because this number is 5.5, and that can go either way.
Okay, and I know it's not the Rose Bowl, but on to the granddaddy of them all.
Some would say
this is the game. This is the game of the week. This is the game changer. This is the playoff changer.
It's the game in general.
It's the game.
It's
the game. We got Michigan at Ohio State. 7.5, man. Plus 7.5 Michigan, minus 7.5 Ohio State.
You take the lead on this one, my guy.
I didn't know how to feel about this one. Everything points bad. It's in Columbus. The numbers are obviously going to be in favor of Ohio State. Travion Henderson's back, healthy.
Somewhat. So he got banged up last week, and then
Yeah.
the
backup went out.
Dalen Hayden. He came in for the
I thought
Bucks
he was the
last
third
week.
string.
He's a third string.
But he was playing well.
But Dalen Hayden looked like the best back that they have. So
He gave me maybe a slightly taller, little leaner, like J.K. Dobbins kind of vibe. The way he
true
was moving
freshman,
around.
looked like an absolute stud back there. Really player of the game for me. Just unreal against Maryland.
I agree.
But go on. Sorry.
I mean, no, you're fine. This is it's the game. Marvin Harrison has been playing out of his mind. I don't know how he's doing all this, but I mean, you don't become literally the likeness of your Hall of Fame father. I mean, he's literally everything about him is the same vibe. He just doesn't have Peyton Manning thrown to him. I will be intrigued to see if Smith and Jigba comes back for this game. I don't know if he will or not. I want to say no. Like if he really can't go, I feel like they'd only put him in if he was like kind of like almost 100%, just because they've still been playing really well. Obviously, that's a huge benefit having all three of the receivers, especially after your third string's been getting so many second string reps pretty much the whole season. Well, actually, he has been, but I mean, everything points to Ohio State and just like the advantage of it. It's in the shoe. Noon game. It's kind of whatever for both teams. If it was a night game,
It's always played at noon.
Yeah, I know. That's why time isn't really a big factor.
It doesn't
here.
matter because, I mean, both these fan bases hate each other.
Yeah.
They're gonna be riled up either way.
It's a
It doesn't matter
bloodbath.
what time this game is
I
played.
hope there's plenty of security.
Probably gonna need it for this one.
Yeah, we'll see. And Blake Corum probably, he's probably gonna play.
It's tough to say.
They're trying to keep it under wraps because that's just how you want to do it.
I think he'll be fine to go, but at the same time, is he 100%? Probably not. So that's
I agree.
That's,
but
if, he takes one bad hit to, his leg area, or whatever was, hobbling him last week. That could be, that could further push him out of the game. So
is Donovan Edwards going to be there?
Maybe not. Probably not. But
they don't have a third string like Ohio State. They have guys that can get it done, but like those are the guys that you want. Like if you're up like 2 scores, kind of run 2, maybe 3 scores, run the ball because they can get those chunk yards. But normally it's there's a little bit more confidence to it. It's not like games on the line.
Right.
For me, I said this earlier before we were filming, and the biggest factors are how Michigan can throw the ball and how Michigan can defend Ohio State throwing the ball. Because I think both defensive lines are great. The run games are great on both sides, but I think the defensive lines are great on both sides. Still not having the tight end, your tight ends really, for Michigan is a factor. You don't have a dominant receiver one, which is another factor. McCarthy's been, I don't know what happened to him, but I feel like the more the season got on, I feel like somebody said, play normal or something to it. Someone said something stupid to him, and now he's just afraid to do anything.
They handcuffed him.
They did.
They tied one hand behind his back, and now he's playing like Cade McNamara was playing last year. Look, JJ can do more than Cade, but in terms of style of football, they are playing the exact same way that they did last year. And that, in my opinion, favored Cade. Look, everyone was talking about how JJ's got this big arm, how he's got this mobility outside the pocket. I barely seen it. They don't call a ton of design plays for JJ McCarthy. They don't throw it deep. It's weird, right? I mean,
no, that's the problem. It's like not that he can't. He definitely can do it.
He can do it,
but they're just not letting him. So my thing is, why are they not letting him? This should be the game time too. Like this isn't. Especially if Corum is a little banged up, this is not the time. And you don't have Edwards. This is not the time to just be like, well, I guess we'll just see what Corum can do. I mean, that's how they're going to start.
I can tell you why it's not been that way for JJ in this passing attack. It's because that's not how Harbaugh wants to run it. He wants to be run first, run second down, and run on third down. That's how he wants it. This is how Harbaugh wants his offense to be. And once Gaddis, I mean, he left last season, but you just kind of saw like it wasn't really working that well with Gaddis. Harbaugh's like, I'm taking over. We're going strictly ground and pound. That's what they've been for the past 2 seasons. Nothing has changed. This is the same exact style of football that Michigan is playing offensively as they did last year. So you might think to yourself, does that fare well against Ohio State because it worked last year? Will it work this year? I don't know. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I'm really concerned about this game. I've thought the thing is every week that it's gotten closer, my confidence has either not changed or just keeps getting lower in Michigan. Just the way they're running everything. I don't see. I agree. It's all you're 100% right with the ground and pound, but at some point there's a wall you're going to hit where you can't just be running the ball, and it's called a completely athletic air raid offense, which is what Ohio State has. But they also have a ground game. That's the thing. Like looking back to last year, you had more depth at back too. Last year for Michigan.
Well, yeah, you had Hassan Haskins, who was a bruiser, and then you had Blake Corum. So you had a bit of a thunder and lightning combo there, where one was
taking more of the punches.
One was running between the tackles, and Blake Corum has done a really good job of that this year. But Blake Corum last year was more used as like a outside zone scheme back, where he was burning you on the outside, kind of more of a speed threat, and then you had Hassan, who was more of a power threat. So. Yeah. It's a little bit different this year. Blake Corum's been outstanding. I can't take any credit away from him. And the Michigan offensive line is one of the best in the country.
Yeah, that's a huge
So that
reason
really helps them this year. But this is such a crazy game because I really think both these teams are not that. They have not impressed me at all. Like during when we first started taping, I was like, I think Ohio State's back. And as the season has gone on, it's like, okay, my confidence in OSU is slowly fading. And now I'm at this point where I don't even know if Ohio State is one of the 4 best teams in the country. And I'm the same way with Michigan. I really don't think these teams are that impressive. I think they've been the benefactor of a very poor Big Ten overall this season. I look at the defensive side of the ball for Ohio State. You have 2 playmakers in Zach Harrison and JT Tuimalu. They are studs. But outside of that, I don't really know what Ohio State has defensively. I mean, I've seen them give up. I mean, they just gave a ton of points to Maryland. They gave a ton of points to Sean Clifford and Penn State. They haven't really been that impressive defensively. I think they're improved, but I'm not wowed by them. Offensively, they've been able to run the ball better than they did last year, but the ground game still isn't some, amazing thing. And I actually think Dalen Hayden looked like the best back last week. He looked outstanding. He kind of just came in and dominated, and you just hadn't seen that. He might be the most talented back in that scheme right now, or maybe he's just the most healthy back, and that's why he's performing so well. So, you talked about JSN, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. I don't know if he's going to go. I feel like if he was going to come back and play this week, he would have played last week to get right for this game. If he's coming back, he's just thrusted into this game. I mean, he hasn't played since the Notre Dame game. Has it been that long?
It might have been. I think that's the only game he's played.
So, I mean, look, am I confident that he's going to be himself? I think JSN we saw last year?
They'd run him at third string.
Yeah. What is he, more of a decoy? So really, I'm not even concerned about JSN. I don't he's an afterthought right now. I am concerned about Blake Corum. That Michigan definitely needs him to be in there to win this game, to have any shot, because if they don't, well, I mean, he's not in Heisman conversations for nothing. I mean, I get it. Is he one of my Heisman picks? No, but I'm not a Heisman voter. It doesn't matter what I think. He's still talented nonetheless. So
yeah, 100%. I mean, another thing people are always going to talk about, what's the weather going to be like? It's supposed to be partly cloudy, 47 in Columbus.
It's not bad.
I think it was supposed to rain, but I don't think it's going to rain anymore. Over under right now, 56.
I could see that going over.
You think so?
Yeah. Well, it depends. Because I do think if this game turns out the way I think it'll turn out, I think one team is going to run up the score.
Oh, wow.
But look, here's the thing with me, and I'll make my pick because I want to hear yours, but I think for Michigan to win this game and for Michigan to really keep it close, they have to perform exactly the same way they did last year, and everything has to go perfectly right for them. They have to, and look, I just, it's just hard for me to sit here and say that's going to happen again. Like, I think Michigan has the formula to beat Ohio State on a consistent basis, but in a game where C.J. Stroud and Ryan Day lost last year,
Vengeance.
On the road, in a really ugly environment, in a snowy game, I do think a lot of stuff has to be right for C.J. Stroud, and I think this is one of those opportunities because you already talked about the weather. I think you're getting an at-home environment.
The perfect weather, arguably, for football.
Exactly.
Almost.
So, I mean, you get a decent weather report. You're in Columbus. I feel like stuff has to be right for C.J. Stroud to succeed, and I think stuff is kind of leaning to be right. And on top of that, Michigan's getting a lot of money from the public right now. I think it's like 60% Michigan on the spread. So, and I look at that, I'm like, okay, well, like everyone's kind of picking Michigan. I think Michigan's, easily like, oh, Michigan's getting 7.5. They won last year. Yeah, I pick Michigan, right? But I'm gonna fall into the trap if it is a trap. I'm gonna take the Bucks minus 7.5. I've been on it for a while now. While I don't think the Bucks have been as dominant or as impressive as I thought they would have been, earlier. Mm-hmm. Like at this point, I thought they'd be much better. I thought they'd be a more complete team. It hasn't been that way, but I look at both these teams. I don't really like either of them. Like
Spartan dog.
No, not even just. I'm going to talk about like person. I'm talking like just the makeup of the teams and how they're faring this year. Like I really don't
get both of them out of the playoff.
I really don't want to see either of these teams in the playoff because I don't think they're that good. Like I think so many SEC teams would beat both of these teams, and if one of these teams played an SEC schedule, they'd be looking at 2 or 3 losses because I really don't believe in either of these schools. So I'm going to take the home team, a revenge game for Ryan Day, and if it gets ugly, they're going to continue to make it ugly. But if Michigan can do what they did last year, I do think they have the formula with a good offensive line and a good run game to beat Ohio State on a more consistent basis as opposed to the drought that ensued last year. But I don't know, man. I'm going to take the Bucks here, and 7.5 is a lot. It's a rivalry game. You're thinking, it might be one score, it might be close, but I think if this game turns out the way I think it should turn out, which is Ohio State outpacing Michigan and Michigan's passing attack, which has been dreadful to not be able to keep up, Ohio State should cover the spread. But I'm a little biased, obviously, and I hate both these schools. Obviously, one is a bigger rival to MSU than the other, but I just think a lot has to go right for Michigan. And after that Illinois performance,
that was
it's not just about Blake Corum being out because they
you got to have an offense that still works somewhat.
It was 10-3 in the third quarter, so don't give me that Blake Corum going out, completely change the dynamic of this game, of the game last week. It doesn't.
It's at that point, everything is mentality.
It's Illinois. Michigan State beat Illinois. Michigan State sucks. That's coming from a Spartan. Michigan State sucks, and we beat Illinois on the road. So it should not have come down to a last-second field goal by Jake Moody to beat Illinois at home. Now you're going on the road. Michigan has not gone on the road much this year, by the way. This is only their 4th road game.
Unlike Bama.
Bama's on the road. Okay, Bama's on the road again, but I'm going to take the Bucks here. I'm assuming you're going to go Michigan, but
yeah, I got to ride. I do. I think it's heartbreaking because I don't have any. I unfortunately really don't have tons of faith in Michigan. I think Ohio State will win. I do hope that it's not a rout, but in Columbus, you don't have the secondary. I get you could probably stop Travion Henderson, but they're like, okay, let's just send Harrison down the field for 60 yards. Or if Stroud gets loose, another problem, he can run. Not that McCarthy can't, but apparently Jim Harbaugh doesn't want him to. He's afraid for him to be exciting and make maybe the offense look a little better and just actually do something more than get 2 yards of carry. I know Corum's doing better, but it's just unfortunate. I am picking Michigan because I got to ride like you are riding with your Spartans against Penn State. I do think Ohio State wins, but I'm going with Michigan.
It's a solid pick. It's 7.5. I mean, this could easily be a really close game. But if
depends
Michigan, for me, it depends on Michigan's red zone offense.
Oh, that's 100%.
If they're only kicking field
weeks,
goals, if they're only kicking field goals, they got no shot in this game.
Moody needs to be only kicking extra points.
I
you
agree.
can't have him out there kicking field goals and win this game.
I agree. And it's not like Ohio State's offense is scary, but Michigan hasn't seen an offense like this. I mean, they haven't. I'm sorry. Like, your defense is good, but you have not seen Ohio State's offense. And it's not even like I'm like gassing up Ohio State's offense. Like, I think they've looked like susceptible at times to struggling. Like, I do think everything has to be right for CJ Stroud, but Michigan still has not seen offense like Ohio State's, despite, how I feel about Ohio State's offense and how it's struggled, to me at least, this season in some games. They just haven't. There has not been a matchup for Michigan like this. Michigan's schedule's been a joke. Let's call it what it is. And it's not all their fault. It's not their fault that the Big Ten
they don't make
in general sucks. But, I mean, their non-con was an absolute laughing stock. At
Can't roast UConn anymore.
What UConn sucks. Okay,
I
don't want to
it's
hear
just
it.
funny.
I don't care if they made a bowl game. Ohio State at least played Notre Dame. That's somewhat of a test.
Now
it is. At the time we were like, okay, Notre Dame is probably terrible, right? After they lost to Marshall.
Oh, we thought they were good, and then they just slid.
Yeah.
And then now they're back.
Now they're back. So it looks like a decent win.
They're
And
back.
I do think Columbus plays a big factor too. So
I mean, it's
this game was at Ann Arbor. And if it was Ohio State minus 7.5, I'd be taking Michigan all the way. But
I think if it was in Ann Arbor, it'd be Ohio State minus like 1.5.
It would not be the same spread.
I think it'd be minus 1.5 Ohio State.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you get Columbus, you get a defense that has not faced an offense like this at all this season, and a red zone offense that's really struggling for Michigan too. They're not winning this game kicking field goals, and they're not competing in this game kicking field goals. They have to score touchdowns, and they have not shown that they can yet. I mean, even last week, it took 3 Jake Moody fourth quarter field goals to beat Illinois. Like, if you score a touchdown, your life is so much easier. And they had opportunities to do so, and they just couldn't. And Ohio State has a better defense than Illinois, talent-wise. Maybe schematically, no, but Bucks minus 7.5. You're riding the Wolverines plus 7.5. I mean, we're gonna see. I do think both these teams are frauds.
I think
I don't think that either of them have a chance to win the national championship game. They're not even in the same state as Georgia right now. Like, in terms of talent,
unless LSU does something wild against Georgia, Georgia's rolling everybody.
I agree.
It's kind of just give them the ship now. It's not worth a bother.
I agree. I think Georgia's that. I mean, Georgia's just cruising right now.
No one's hanging with them. Like, you don't look, because if Bama fell off, then there's no one hanging with them. Unless LSU does something crazy, no one's hanging with them.
Georgia's just, in that game against Tennessee, you saw it. They dominated, and then they're like, okay, we kind of won. Like, they're up by like 21 points, and they're like, okay, we won. Like, they literally just went on cruise control. Like, they're like, you drive, and while they're like, they have a hamburger in one hand and their phone in the other. Hey, you drive. They're talking like the passenger. Like, hey, you drive really quick. I'm just gonna scroll, and it's like, it's just that easy. That's how
Tennessee's trying to like swerve around them, and they just can't get by.
No, it's unreal.
It's like the last lap of like NASCAR, like how they're just gliding behind them, and they just try to go, but they're just like la 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 back and forth.
Yeah, no,
it's fair. It's gonna be
Georgia's
quite a game. Also, if you have never listened before, there's a wager from episodes ago that is going to be riding on this game. A viewer, friend of mine, Michigan alumni, Evan made a bet with her. If Michigan does make the playoff, Evan gets a pie in the face.
I do get a pie in the face. I'm feeling pretty good about my chances of not getting the pie in the face, but I do want to say, if Ohio State wins, I do feel like I should be able to have some sort of like ability to, I'm not going to say like throw a pie in anyone else's face, but I do feel like I should be rewarded I do feel like there should be a consequence on the other party. But if there isn't, whatever. C'est la vie.
Victory is enough.
Yeah. I'll take my sweet, sweet victory in not getting a pie in the face. That will be maybe that's my reward.
Well, Meg, if you're listening, let us know. Anyways, college is done. We'll see what happens.
Big breakdown there, but it's the biggest game of the college football season by far. And I mean,
I think I'm just happy that it matters.
It does.
It matters. You know, it's not like, you know, in the past where, you know, Ohio State's, you know, a top 10 team and Michigan's unranked, you know.
Yeah.
Like, that's not fun.
No,
'Cause
it matters. I mean, it's a big game, and it's going to decide. I mean, in my opinion, whoever loses the game, you got no shot in the playoff. Your schedule's not good enough. Your resume's not good
you
enough.
don't. Yeah, you
You
lose.
You do not deserve to be in the playoff if you lose this game, and that goes for both schools.
What
I
if-
don't care.
What if USC loses and what if USC loses, LSU loses to Georgia?
Clemson loses?
Yeah,
Put Bama in there then.
I guess so.
Put,
Bama slides all the way back.
put Bama in there. I will take Bama over either of these schools right now. I think
at least
Bama's
you
a
know
better
they
team
put
than
a
both these
more
schools.
they put more of a challenge because now they're not going to play Georgia at all.
No, but I mean, they still have Bryce Young, they still have Nick Saban. I mean, they still have Will
Bama's not
Anderson.
dead.
Like they were the benefactor, or they were at the poor receiving end of playing the SEC. If Bama's in the Big Ten, they are undefeated and they're cruising this game. They're a double-digit favorite in this game. So, it's unfortunate sometimes. It's just how the schedule plays out. But yeah, if either of these schools loses, you're done. You have no shot. And the winner should fairly be in the playoff. But like I said, I don't really think either of these schools is that good.
Fair enough. Alrighty. On to the NFL.
Now I can be happy because we got through Michigan State and now we got through that ugly rivalry dumb game. So now let's get the energy back up, please.
It was down.
Michigan State got me so upset and they're just on my mind there. So I had to put them in the back end. Let's talk NFL, man. This is my sport. This is my game. This is my passion. So let's do it.
Yes, sir. NFC, AFC, NFL. Let's ride. Energy's high.
It's
for
back up
game
now.
one.
It's back up.
Energy's back. We're vibing.
Ugh.
Game one, the Buccaneers and Brady head to Cleveland.
Yes.
Plus 3.5, Cleveland.
So you got the mistake by the lake in Cleveland in this game. So both these teams are below 500 this year against the spread. They have not been good covering these games. A more concerning stat to me is actually Cleveland is 1-6 against the spread against non-divisional opponents, and Tampa is 2-4-1. So
Yikes.
against teams that are not in their division, they're even worse than their actual overall record. But nonetheless, the public is favoring the Bucs in this one. 70% of the bets on the spread per the Action Network are on Tampa Bay. Aside from the statistics there, I think the Bucs have looked better in their past two games. I do think they turned a little bit of a corner. They've gotten Rachaad White more involved. I think the passing attack looks a little bit better. But it took a late win against LA to beat them, and then they kind of just cruised against Seattle. So it's not like I'm like, whoa, Tampa's back, Super Bowl contender, but they've looked better. They've looked a little bit more competent. I'm interested to see how Cleveland is able to slow down Tampa in terms of passing, because Cleveland's passing defense is dreadful. They're allowing 7.1 yards per attempt. So you're thinking that's a positive game script for Tampa Bay. But Cleveland, we know what they want to do. They want to run the football. Tampa's run defense has not been as dominant as it has been in the past since Brady's got that. You had Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh, just really dominant nowadays with just Vita Vea in there. Not the same. They've been allowing 4.5 yards per carry, and I think that bodes well for Nick Chubb and the Browns in this one. And this also is Jacoby Brissett's last game as a starter before Deshaun Watson gets back. So I think you get last game Jacoby, you get a Bucs run defense that's not as good as in the past, you get a Cleveland offense that wants to run the football. I think Tampa Bay wins, but I think it's by a field goal. I like the 3.5 hook, so give me the Browns at home plus 3.5.
Juicy. It's a cold game. By the lake.
The mistake by the lake.
That was hilarious. I love that. Never heard that.
Really?
I haven't. That's hilarious. I am laughing. No, that's funny. Yeah. The offense for the Bucs has been definitely pass heavy, and I guess that is in favor of them right now from those stats you gave on the Browns defense. Chubb has been playing really well, though. I know he did. He probably played not too great his last game. Like last week, he was a little off, but for the most part in the season, he's been really well. I agree. Jacoby Brissett probably wants to prove a little something before the reins get taken from him, which sucks because even though it probably wouldn't have been, but people assumed it should have been a full season suspension for Watson, but it's not like that, and they're ready to just run. I'm surprised they didn't wait another week and let Brissett play in Texas, in Houston. But I think the NFL set that up that way.
Yes, definitely. They want Deshaun to be shamed publicly. Like, you are humiliated. It's honestly very devious on behalf of the NFL. But
you knew it was going to happen.
Because 11-game suspension is so specific.
Yeah,
right?
11.
And the bye week in between, so that doesn't count as a suspended game. So then you look at week 13. Oh, at Houston. Interesting.
I do want to pick the Browns, but I keep not picking Brady, and it hasn't been in my favor.
That's true.
So it is a close game. I definitely can see it being a field goal game. I think it is a smart pick with the Browns, but I'm gonna trust Tom. His wife's been trashing him everywhere, building that new house, moving with a new man. I think he's a little more motivated these days.
Right. I mean, look, the Bucs are on the right side of the line right now because they've won their past 2 games. Cleveland has looked really bad in the past 2 games. Following the very impressive win against the Bengals at home on Monday night, on Halloween night, they got blown up by Miami, and then they kind of got dominated by the Bills. So it hasn't been a very inspiring Cleveland offense and defense the past few weeks. But yeah, I do agree with you. I think Tampa Bay, you gotta trust Tom here, but
Cold.
I do like the hook. The hook is getting me. If this was Tampa Bay -3, I think I'd probably lean Tampa, but I love that hook there at +3.5. I think this is a field goal game. So give me Cleveland, and I like that you're trusting Tom Brady for once. It feels good for a change. I know you love Tom, but you haven't put your faith in him. So
I know.
You're putting your faith in him. I'm still trusting him to win this game, but I do like Cleveland to cover.
Yeah, the field goal game. You get that half-point safety net. But yeah, Bucs -3.5. We'll see what happens.
On to the next one.
Cold could be a factor in that one.
We'll see.
But we'll see. This is a juicy game, but it's also very pretty on the screen.
It's a very gorgeous game on the screen.
Love
honestly.
the colors.
That's a very nice contrast.
Game 2. Ravens head to Jacksonville, -4 Ravens, +4 Jags, whatever you feel like, bouncing back and forth. Both teams have been kind of ugly, but one team's just better.
Obviously.
It's kind of the lookout for it.
So it's a tough game for me. I put this one on the show sheet thinking, weird spread, 4 points, Ravens.
I really want you to pick one way.
It really made me, I was very perplexed. But no, the Ravens are undefeated against the spread this season on the road.
Woo!
So that's got me thinking some way.
I'm fired up. You fired up? Yeah.
I don't like Lamar Jackson. And 68% of the bets on the spread are favoring B-More, according to the Action Network. So public's heavy on Baltimore. They're undefeated on the road against the spread. But on the other side of the football, the Jags have a +11-point differential despite being 3-7. So it's odd, right? It doesn't make any sense. In fairness, I mean, they have struggled at the end of games, closing games out. They really have not been able to kind of seal these wins. So I do think the Jags are close, but I don't know. It's a tough game for me to pick because Baltimore likes to run the football, but the Jags have been good against the run this year. So it's like, okay, well, that's Baltimore's strategy. So what do? Mark Andrews is back. He returned last week from his shoulder injury. Now, he's got a week down. He's back in the mix, back in the fold. Do they lean on Lamar Jackson's arm in this one? It's tough to say because, the Jags defense overall is pretty solid. Like, they're pretty good against the pass, and they're really good against the run. So it's like there is a recipe for the Jags to kind of pull off this win here because I do think that they're owed to win at some point. When you have a +11-point differential, but you're 3-7, that's, the Vikings are 8-2 and have a -2-point differential. Like, the Jags technically have been better. Technically, if you put any stock in a point differential, they've technically been better than the Vikings, but yet are 3-7. So they don't have any of these wins to show for, and it's a win and lose league. So look, I hate this pick, but I'm going to take Baltimore. I think. I don't know. What are you feeling? I'm still iffy on it, but I'm leaning Baltimore just because they're undefeated on on the road against the spread. And at the end of the day, they do have Lamar Jackson. I don't like him. I don't have to like him, but he's Lamar Jackson. So
It's a tough game in the sense that the Ravens are big choke artists this year. They like to fumble the game at the end. They love to look good. They love to be flashing, feeling fancy, run the ball well, looking all good. And then they're up, and then mistake, and someone makes a bad call, and they barely pull it out, or they have their one unfortunate loss, which happens every so often. I mean, I don't think they're the best team in the AFC North.
you like the Bengals a
I
little
think
bit
the
more?
Bengals are a little bit better realistically if they're all on.
Yep.
Because they're these guys are more. Ravens are a show. They're not the contenders. They're a bit of a show at times.
I agree. I've always said I think Lamar and this offense is fun. It's exciting. It's entertaining. But what does it really mean at the end of the day?
It's kind of like Tennessee.
Exactly.
I love them, but that's kind of how they are right now. I agree. I think the Ravens is the pick. I know it could be a tight one because out of nowhere they could end up Justin Tucker kicks they're down, they're like down whatever, or like Jags somehow it ends up being like a 20-20 tie, and then I don't know, like the Ravens kick a field goal to win, but that would be unfortunate because on the Jags, it could be that situation, but I think the Ravens do get it done. I don't think it's like a blowout, but maybe like a 10-point win. Nothing crazy. Maybe like a 27-17 kind of win, but it's just it's a weird. I don't like the +4.
No, it's a tough number, and I mean Jacksonville's 3-7 against the spread this season overall, so their spread record is the same as their actual record, and it's tough for me to trust. It's so hard for me to trust Jacksonville despite like what I'm seeing. Like I'm seeing these stats, and I'm looking at this team, and I'm like, okay, they're good against the run, they're good against the pass. They've been in like almost every game, it feels like, and they have a +11 point differential, and somehow they're 3-7 against the spread and overall.
They're just not
So
getting
it's
it
just
done
like
for whatever reason.
Yeah, if they're not getting it done, I'm sorry, but I can't trust them to get it done. Like if maybe if they do this week, I'll put a little more stock into them. But yeah, I think Baltimore's the pick here, and I hate going so heavy with the public on this pick because I do think that oftentimes leads you to picking wrong because you see everyone else making that pick, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna take that pick, which is a fair thing. I mean, group buy-in is real, and it's human nature, but whatever. Baltimore -4. We're playing with house money this week. That's been my motto. We're playing with house money.
It's all in the house, baby.
Baltimore
it's
-4.
all in the house.
On to the last game.
Last game on the slate. Bengal. They head to Nashville. The Bengals at Titans. -1.5 Bengals, +1.5 Titans. Interesting number. Not interesting number.
Also, a really interesting number. And just like me, the Titans aren't a heater right now. They are 8-0 against the spread and straight up in their last. Or I'm sorry, not straight up, but 8-0 against the spread in their last 8 games. They started 0-2. They have rattled off 8 in a row. So they've been covering numbers. They've been playing well. And look, Titans are a really, really well-coached team. Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, they just know how to get it done. That defense, not great. Pass defense is not good at all. But Vrabel and that staff, they just know how to win games. And it's impressive when you see what they're able to do on a weekly basis because you look at Tennessee, they don't have a ton of talent. They don't have a ton of outside weapons. I mean, you look at their offenses, compare these two teams. I know Jamar Chase might be back this week, might not be back, but look, the Bengals have T. Higgins, they have Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase when healthy, Hayden Hurst, Joe Mixon. Like, all of their skill players, aside from, Mixon and Henry, are better than the Titans, yet the Titans are the better football team, which just makes no sense to me. And it comes down to coaching, really. But at the end of the day, the public is so heavy on the Titans right now. It's like between 67 and 70%, depending on where you get your numbers from. 67 is what the Action Network tells me. I think at some point the Titans have to stop covering these spreads. 8-0 is impressive in the last 8 games, but I don't know. I'm gonna trust the Bengals here. I think the spread is weird. I think you get Titans +1.5 at home. You're thinking hammer Titans. They've been the better football team. They have a better record. They have
Derrick Henry's going to run all over
Yeah,
the place.
exactly. But the Bengals have a good run defense. If they're able to swallow up Derrick Henry, shorten the field, Titans do not have the weapons on the outside to get it done. So I'm going to take the Bengals here, regardless of if Jamar Chase is back or not. I do
Mixon
think
may
Joe
or may
Burrow
not.
gets it done. Yeah, and even if Mixon's not playing, Samaje Perine looked really good last week, and I think the Bengals, where they're going to beat the Titans is going to be through the air because the Titans' pass defense is really bad. So, give me the Bengals. And I mean, the last time these two faced was in the playoffs last year, and the Bengals went on the road into Nashville and won. So,
And people were shocked.
yeah. So I'm gonna, a little bit of positive history there for me, and I'll ride with Joe Burrow. I'll ride with Joe Burr, and Bengals. Yeah, let's go.
It's juicy. Tannehill has been bad. I think he's been bad. I think he played better in the right games last year. That's how they ended up getting the playoffs. Obviously, Derrick Henry was running a show last year
Before he
got hurt,
yeah.
which really hurt my fantasy
But
team
they
last
still
year,
ended up being the 1 seed despite Henry going down.
which was crazy. But I don't think him and Bengals just hit the stride last year. They were really just hitting it because Derrick
hot
Henry
at the
still
right
played
time.
okay, and it was just they got hot, and then there's nothing you could do about it. I agree. The secondary for the Titans is just, ugh.
It's terrible.
It's just nothing pretty. I mean, their pass rush is okay, but not like something crazy to talk about. And I agree. Samaje Perine can hold down the fort, even if Mixon doesn't play, but I think he will probably be playing. So, yeah, it sucks not having Jamar Chase, but you do have two dogs in Higgins and Boyd to back him up. And it's Joe Burrow. If he's on, he's on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. And really for me, it comes down to this is like such a weird spread. You're like Bengals road favorite against Tennessee, who's 7-3. Like, how does that add up? But at the end of the day, I think you just kind of lean into it. You're like, okay, Bengals are the road favorite. Do I really trust them?
Even if it's a field goal win, I think the Bengals still get it done.
Well, yeah.
That's the thing. Like I could see this game being a field goal game, but I don't see the Bengals losing it. So I'm Bengals -1.5.
All right, I like it. I like that we're both on the same page in this one because this one really concerned me, but the Ravens one also concerned me. So I like that we're on the same page on that one too. Because these are such tough games.
know.
It's a weird
That's
NFL
fair.
slate,
We're
and it's
almost-
tough because you have the Thanksgiving game. So then you have a limited selection to choose from on Sunday. And while every NFL team is playing, there's no bye weeks this week. Every NFL team is playing, but it's tough because these games really aren't yielding. What I think is like, fun, good games to bet. But I just chose these three thinking, you know what? I really like the Bucs at Browns. I think that's going to be a really good game in the early window. And then the other two, we're going to see, right? We're going to see. I do think this is going to be a really fun game, though. And Joe Burrow, man, I don't love him, but he's good. He's a damn good quarterback. So
Nothing wrong there. Nothing wrong there.
all right, let's run it down.
Run it down.
So we got 6 picks this week. Kicking it off in Happy Valley. Michigan State at Penn State. Penn State -18.5. I got my dreadful Spartan Dogs who made me sad and depressed this episode. But nonetheless, you have Penn State -18.5. We're having fun. I don't care. I'm not going to let Michigan State ruin my mood. I got heated up there, but whatever. Notre Dame at USC -5.5, giving it to the Trojans. I'm taking USC. Caleb Williams, Heisman frontrunner. Let's ride, baby. And then you're on the Irish +5.5.
Here come the Irish.
And then the game, everyone's gonna be talking about it. Oh,
Low key, it could be the worst of those three games.
no, it'll definitely be better than Michigan State at Penn State. Trust me. But
USC Notre Dame though.
that's gonna be a good game. But Michigan +7.5. You are on the Wolverines. I'm on the Bucks -7.5. OHIO. You can tell I'm being very sarcastic.
We got that M down, and you flip it, it turns to a dub.
We'll see. And then in the NFL, Buccaneers at Browns. You're riding Tom Brady.
I was gonna pick the
minus
Browns, but I'm gonna ride
3.5.
them.
I'm riding the Browns +3.5. Ravens at Jaguars. You are on the Ravens -4, and I am also on the Ravens -4.
Woo woo.
I am trusting the quarterback I despise the most in the NFL, and Lamar Jackson, but it is what it is. And then the last game of our slate, Bengals at Titans. We are both riding with Joe Burrow and that Bengal crowd. -1.5 on the road, getting it done against Tennessee.
Yeah, baby. Wow. What a week.
What a week. And, we're going to have some fun games on Thursday. Thanksgiving's going to be awesome.
I hope you guys have a good Thanksgiving, or you've had a good Thanksgiving.
Yes. And then Saturday and Sunday, we got some great games, rivalry game. And let's keep it going, man. 8-1 last week. I'm feeling hot, feeling dangerous. This spread that we have
Baker.
of games, feeling dangerous. This slate of games has me a little bit skeptical, but I'm looking to just kind of, if I can get to like 3-3 or 4-2,
Have an even week.
have an even week on the Saturday and Sunday games. I'm feeling really good about the Thanksgiving games, but this slate, we're gonna. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe I'll go 0-3 on Thanksgiving and just embarrass myself. But after going 8-1, I'm feeling like it's gotta come back around at some point. So this might be the week. So we're gonna see. Hopefully I keep it up though, and hopefully you do too. I mean, you were positive too last week. Don't discredit yourself. You were 5-4, and hey, any winning week is a good week. So let's keep it going. 34-24-2 is my record. 30-27-2 is your record. I mean, you'd be making a lot of money right now if you depend on how much you put down. If you trusted either of us right now, I mean, you'd be making some good bank. So keep it going. You and me, we got to keep it going. Let's hope these picks work out, and let's keep it going, man. Let's keep it going.
Yes, sir.
That's all I can say. Let's keep it going.
Keep it going. Keep it rolling.
I'm
keep it
repeating
going.
myself like a parrot, but that's what we got to do. Nose to the grindstone and stay on track. Cannot lose focus. Cannot lose sight of what we're here to accomplish here, which is winning records and dominating these games. Cannot lose sight of it.
See it all. Crazy thing is, next time we back, it's December.
Ooh, goodness.
Already.
Man. I did not need to know that, but
Wild.
I did not need to know that.
Wild. All right. Thank you all for watching or listening. Follow us on everything. The boys are going wild. We try to be consistent with everything, with posts back and forth on everything. Subscribe to the channel. Turn those post notifications.
Yep.
Thumbs up. Comment your picks this week. Let us know.
Yeah, please let us know. We got Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, so wherever you want to, reach us out at, wherever you want to comment, wherever you want to call us out, please do. Any of those sites, YouTube, let us know, man. I mean, we're open to it. I mean, I want to hear someone trash my picks.
Let us know who you got for the big game.
I want to flex on some people. I want to flex on you a little bit, and you can flex on me too. I am so open to it. We want to hear the banter. Yeah, we want to hear it either way. So, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, STJ Sports Betting, Squeeze the Juice. You'll find us there with the little lime getting squeezed into a cup there. That's our logo. And on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast, really, we're everywhere. And YouTube especially. See the new visual effects we got.
Check it out.
We're able to follow along a little bit easier if you're, kind of scrolling through which game do I want to pick. We'll just look behind us. You'll be able to see if there's a game you really like. Let's say you woke up, you're thinking, oh, Notre Dame at USC. I really want to bet that game. You can scroll to, where we talk about it. And if that's the only game you're interested in, great. Follow our advice. Don't follow our advice. We gave you both a pick on each side. So if you like my advice more than Justin's, feel free to go with mine. If you like Justin's more than mine, feel free to go with him. But, that's just what we're trying to do. We're trying to upgrade the studio, upgrade your experience listening and viewing. So please continue to do whatever it is that you're doing because the numbers look good. And we're going to continue to keep pumping out content.
Upgrades on the weekly. Remember, not real advice, but plenty of real wins.
You don't accidentally trip into 34-24-2 as your record. That comes with research. It comes with knowledge. It comes with a little bit of guts and a little bit of luck. But you need all those things, and we're trying to give it to you so you don't have to do it.
All three of those, you know what that makes? A dub.
It makes a dub, baby. So we're gonna keep it going. That's our motto, baby. Keep it going. Squeeze the juice. We're firing on all cylinders. We're live. We're ready to roll. Ready to roll weekly. Let's keep it going.
Alrighty, y'all. We will see you next time. Peace.